and welcome to the Missed Q. I'm your host, Ricky, and with me is my other host,
Jackie.
and the other host,
Heidi.
And together, we are the Missed Q. Now, today's episode, we have on somebody that we've mentioned quite a bit throughout this first season so far.
I mean, pretty much every episode.
Yeah, I'd say everyone. Yep.
Yeah, the most mentioned person, I would say, besides Grace.
Sure.
Carmen Domek.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
I've loved the podcast.
Excellent. I love
wonderful.
that. Yeah, you always show support and love on the social media, which we appreciate. So we've mentioned you a lot. We've talked about you like you're some sort of goddess that we really look up to almost.
I mean,
not just us, but
everyone.
every guest.
I mean, every guest, yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that,
Yeah,
truly.
I had to cut some out of quite a few of them just because people ramble on about it. Anyway, but so how long have you been doing Grace Heart's live shows?
I am just starting my 4th year as music director.
Wow, okay, 4th year. Your first one was Evita.
My first
Yeah.
one was Avita in November of 2021.
Yes, I was in that show. I got to be
Yeah.
a part of your first experience.
Yeah, same.
That was great. Yes. Oh, that's right. You were in the back, Scotch on the Rocks, right?
On the rocks. Yep. Scotch on the rocks.
Was that with you and Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got in trouble for that one.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, that's one of my early memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Her first show was Heidi and
it
Chris.
was me and Chris having.
Oh.
That was the last time we got to be together on stage.
That's
I think.
awesome. But I didn't realize when I first met you that you have been around in town for a long time teaching at the high school. Is that correct?
Yes, my husband and I moved here, and shortly after that, I realized
What year was that?
That was in 2013.
Okay.
And I realized I didn't want to be retired, and I took a job as music director at St. Michael's in town. So I was the organist and music director, and I did that for a year, and before an opening happened at the high school, and it was a week before school was going to start.
Oh.
And I saw someone in town, and they said, "Oh, we don't have a choir teacher, and school's starting next week." And I said, "Well, let me call." And I was so fortunate. I got to teach music theater with Jason, and he invited me a year or two into our teaching relationship to come and play keyboards. He was directing Shrek at a little theater in town called Grace Arts Live. So I went and played keyboard for those music rehearsals, and I thought I would love to be a part of this, but I'm just too busy. So then I had a break for a while.
Because you already had an idea of what commitment to theater looks like.
Yeah, I had done that in my previous life. I had done a lot of theater, and I was a church organist and choir director and music, band choir theater teacher. So I knew it was a big time commitment. And obviously they didn't need me at that time anyway. So it wasn't until Jason and I would continue to teach together, and he told me early in 2021 that he was going to be music directing Evita. And he said, I really would rather not. If you're interested at all, it's a very difficult show musically, especially for the ensemble. And he said, if you would be interested, I will mention your name to Grace. And that's how I became a music director. It was a sad, sad situation when the woman who had been with Grace Arts for many, many, many years got sick, and they handed me the computer and said, run tracks. And as Heidi knows, I had the revolving wheel of death on the screen many times, and I would call her from the stage, and I don't know what to do. I actually went to the hospital several times before that show opened to get help from Karen.
Because Karen Hamstra was the music director.
She was running the track.
Running
Running the
tracks.
tracks, that's
Yeah.
right. And she got very sick, and she even tried to kind of not let anybody know.
Oh, yeah,
because
She kept
she was
it
very
very
dedicated.
private.
She was.
Yeah, so, and then she got hospitalized, and sorry, I just
No.
wanted a little background.
that
Go
is the
on.
background.
Yeah.
So the last 2 weeks of her life, she was trying to teach me how use the computer.
Wow.
And so when that show opened, that opening night, I was more terrified than I think I probably ever was in my professional life, because you have this beautiful show with all these people on stage and people who have come to see this amazing show. And if you mess up on the music, as we all know, because it happened.
It happened.
We'll get into missed cues on your We'll get into that later.
I was afraid that would come up. But anyway, Grace was very supportive, and during rehearsals, when I was so nervous, she was very supportive and said, "Carmen, are you okay back there? What do you need us to do?" And somehow we made it through that first show. Then I was asked back to be music director, and it's just evolved into I'm the music director, and I couldn't be happier about it. I really love the challenge. I love I love being connected to the people in the community that are on stage and that are backstage. Our production staff is so dedicated. They put in so much time. So it's been a great experience.
Well, I know we all love that you're a part of the family and have been for the last several years. I mean, you were a great addition, and I know you struggled with feeling like you were replacing Karen, and but we just loved you right from the get-go.
Immediately, yeah.
But I can only imagine from your perspective, though, how intimidating it must have been. You have the entire cast, and all these people that you never met before.
That's true. And I only had the computer for, I think, 3 days before the show opened, because I was running the music rehearsals on my phone. And Grace said, "Well, you need to use a computer." And I said, "You mean I can't run the show from my phone?" And she said, no, you can't do that. So that was a real steep learning curve for me. I just didn't have the experience. But honestly, there was no one else. There was no one else available. And so we made it. We did it. And it was an amazing show, and it will always be one of my favorite shows.
It was a good show.
Yeah, I think the big push for that show to be great on everybody that was involved was for Karen.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So it was. I'm glad I got to kind of witness that transition, and as unfortunate as it was, she's playing piano for the Angels now, and
Absolutely.
And, her music was always heavenly as it was. So.
Absolutely. And I was gifted with a lot of her music books that have notes, musical notes are written in the books.
I
And
think Kyle said he got some of her books.
Yeah, I think
too.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah. So, but I just, my heart goes out, and I thank forever people like you, Ricky. You were there for that very first show, and you came back to me before one of the shows, and you said, "We just want to welcome you. We're so glad you're here." That meant the world to me, because I was scared to death, and I didn't know. And you all seemed like a very tight knit family, and you had all known each other for the most part for a lot of years. So to be the new person coming in when everyone is feeling so sad, and we had all those things, and it was a big show, and but I always appreciated the kindness of people like you. So thank you.
Of course, yeah. That's how we roll at Grace Arts Live.
Right.
Well, and then I think you repay us, because we go to auditions and we're terrified,
And we just look at you.
and we just look at you because you're always smiling.
I want to do a reel.
No, literally.
I want to do a reel of everybody at the table, and you pan Eileen, Lauren, Grace, and everybody's stoic.
So
and then you
serious.
pan
And then
over-
there's Carmen.
And then there's Carmen.
Giant
Smiling
smile on
away.
your face.
Just enjoying the performances.
Just
I just
So happy.
so appreciate everyone who has not only the courage but the hope, because people are standing there. I hope I get it. My chorus line.
it is chorus line.
Which was the first show I ever saw on Broadway, Chorus Line. I think you've mentioned Chorus Line before.
yeah, that's been mentioned on the show.
But no, especially the young folks. But what I've loved over these over 3 years now is seeing the progress in people, whether they're adults or children, but people like Ivan, who had never done a show, and now he's auditioning, and he becomes more, hi Ivan, he becomes more confident, but so many people in just the short time I've been there that have gotten the bug.
I feel like we're heading into this new era of theater where it's becoming more of a social thing, I guess. It's it's not just going to rehearsals and everything. It's actually spending time outside of rehearsals.
We're all hanging out all the time.
Yeah, there's and I feel like there's a new crop of people coming in.
Yeah, because
that
then
have not
I've been
there
through,
forever.
and I've been through all of it, and it kind of made me realize there has been a break in that, so. But we're in a transitional time, not only with that, but with the kids. A lot of them graduated, and now we're bringing up the new generation. So we're in our window of transition and growth. So
That's
a good
right.
thing.
That's right. And I really appreciate that Grace and Lauren and Jason too are bringing different shows to Havasu that might not have been performed in Havasu in previous years. But boy, I've certainly been thrilled to be part of those shows too. The Producers, one of my all-time favorite shows that might not have been performed 10 years ago in Havasu.
Right.
Yeah. No, the game's definitely changed. Somebody said a bad word on stage one time. I was like, oh wow, that's okay now. Okay, all right, okay, and that's fine. But I was like, okay, we're getting a little more lax. I mean, we've done heavy theme shows before, so why not?
Why not?
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit more about your youth and how you got started with. Did you used to perform on stage ever?
So my mother was a piano teacher in town. We were in a small Midwestern town. So she was giving piano lessons always. So I started probably when I was 4 or 5.
Wow.
Then when it was time, 4th grade, to take band, my family was poor. We lived on a farm. My dad said, you can play any instrument the school owns. So I played the oboe and my sister played the tuba.
Can I just say, I almost said, did you play the oboe? Like that was going to be my guess.
I played the oboe.
Of course you played the oboe.
My
I
sister
love it.
played the tuba. So our town was very, very heavily supportive of band and choir. We didn't have theater at my high school. And so I didn't have any theater experience until I went to college. By that time, I had been through several piano teachers, and I thought my path was piano performance. And I got to college, and when I got involved in music theater, they found out I could play the piano and the oboe and the flute and whatever instruments they needed in the pit. So even though I really wanted to be on stage, it was like, well, we need you for this, we need you for this. So I did a lot of that pit performance and directing. I directed a lot of pit orchestras. I played keyboard for a lot of productions. And then it was time I decided to go to graduate school to get a music therapy degree in addition to a master's, because I had done some work with a psychiatric hospital using music. And I'm like, music therapy, I think that's going to be where I'm going to go. And did a 6-month internship at State Home and Training School in Colorado, which was for severely and profoundly disabled children. And I really thought that was my path. But I got a teaching job because, of course, I had no money, got a teaching job. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I am supposed to be doing. And that was 40 years ago. And so I continued teaching band, choir, theater. So that's kind of my background. I thought of piano performance, then I thought music therapy. But once I got into a classroom, I knew that's where I needed to be. And I think that music therapy background and experience really transferred to my teaching. Yeah. So I'm very grateful I had that experience. But to be honest,
you love to see people grow, and you love to help them grow. And
I love to provide a safe place for people, for kids especially, but for adults too. And music was always that for me. Music was my elementary music teacher was my idol. When I was asked who is the most important person in your years, in your childhood, in your adulthood.
We need to write that down. We need to start asking everybody that. That's a great question.
No, I immediately thought of Helen Frank because she was always beautiful. She sang all the time. She showed a film strip of the Nutcracker, and I was a farm girl that thought that was the most incredible thing I had ever seen. Yeah. A film strip that had music. So, but that was my philosophy of teaching, was provide a safe place where kids especially can be free to be creative and not fear being laughed at or made fun of or bullied. So I know we have kids audition and adults audition too that maybe feel really apprehensive and don't feel like it's a safe place. And so that's why I always have that goofy smile on my face at auditions, because I remember what that feels like. And it's scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And it was, we talked with Mary, Ivan's wife.
Yeah.
Shout out Mary. And she was nervous for her first audition. And we were like,
Just look at Carmen.
we said, just look at Carmen.
What I do every
We're like,
time.
just look at Carmen. It's what we do.
She will be smiling and so happy.
Oh, well,
And we walked out and she goes, she was smiling. I'm like, I know.
Always.
yeah, I appreciate what it takes to get up in front of a table full of people sitting there watching you. And you don't get any feedback. There's nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, you just get those faces, the whispers.
Well, and it's
The
not
whispers
just
and the
That's
writing.
the worst.
I know. It's not just the table, though. It's all of the other people auditioning who are sitting there waiting to audition.
Right.
Watching you audition in front of the, like,
It's a lot.
that's scary too.
I acknowledged everybody in my audition group, my last audition, I think. I don't know. Here for you from
Yes, you
95.
oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yep, you sure did.
I won't forget it.
I think at one
ever.
point I looked at everybody.
Ever. Thank you for the comedic relief, though.
Yeah.
That was a
no
bold
problem.
choice. I do have to say.
You know what? I kind of have the same approach where I feel like people can have fun and have a laugh if I can entertain people during my audition.
Oh, I was entertained.
Oh, I was too.
So, but I feel like that maybe helps out everybody else.
But you were toward the end.
I know. Yeah. So you
If
just
you
helped
had
out
been
me,
at the beginning.
Jackie.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I was like, wait, we have to go next? What?
Yeah, after
hold
that.
on.
Well, Heidi said she doesn't like to go after me.
No, I don't.
No.
Because you put on such a good show.
Because you do that.
So
Yeah.
Well, I
Oh, and it was
this
me
time.
after
Yeah, it was
him
you
this
and then
time.
me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So
Scary.
So as far as stage performances, acting, anything? What's going on there?
Well, that's a good question. So my first teaching job, I was hired to develop a theater program at a high school in Colorado, and it was bare bones. They had nothing, but they had a lot of money. It was the Vail Valley School District. They had a ton of money. They threw money at me and said, "Whatever you need to develop a theater program." And
Isn't that the dream?
I'm like,
That is the
dream.
actual dream.
it was the actual dream. So the first musical, I played one of the parts in Little Abner.
Okay.
Which was really fun. But honestly, always I have been backstage doing pit, directing pit, keyboards, whatever. So I never had the stage experience that so many of you guys have had.
I saw you on stage recently. You were playing piano.
Oh, that is
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that
Yes.
was
We were on
so
stage.
much fun.
There was a little bit of choreography you got to do. I saw that.
That was Russell's idea. And
I'd never
Love
seen
it.
that before.
It was so cool.
that was really fun.
So for the listeners, what happened during this show, Carmen's playing on stage and she stands up and actors basically
Move
grab her
piano.
piano and move it around and she's like spinning around
And
while
it's-
she's
While playing.
While playing.
Yes.
with her big grin on her face
Yes.
like normal.
I love that show.
It was
I love
Alice by Heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the high school.
So good.
That was really fun. I still am involved with the high school with Mr. Fallis and the kids as much as they would ask me to be. I just love high school age people anyway. And I have always loved working with Jason. He's a wonderful colleague.
Yes.
So that's been a great experience.
And you're working with Jason right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show Horrors.
Yes.
Which we did that show before, and when they redo shows, I love nowadays we have the 3 different directors, and it was Grace last time directing it. So I'm excited to see like Jason's take on it. He just has a lot of fun.
He has a lot of fun, and he gives the actors a lot of flexibility and allows them to develop their characters and with guidance. But I think he's so respected because he is such an incredible performer himself. But he has a definitely kind, loving way of working with his cast. And honestly, I've worked with all kinds of directors over the years, many, many directors. And I'll never forget the first director I worked with. He was hired by the city of Vail, Colorado. He came from Denver, and he was so mean. We were doing Carousel. I was the music director, and he was so mean to the cast. And I thought, if I ever am fortunate enough to be in a position to work with a group of people like this, I will never, ever treat them this way. It was awful. I don't feel you bring out the best in a singer or a dancer or a person when you're constantly criticizing. So, but Jason is a very kind, loving, and I think you'll really enjoy Little Shop. There's just some
excited. I'm excited.
fantastic performances.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
It'll be a good one.
Yeah, I love that. I've always loved that show
Yeah, me too.
in general. So, speaking of performing piano on stage, there's been a group of us that's kind of been rallying to do full Monty. And from what I understand, there is a part of a piano player.
Kyle told me about this.
Yeah, there's a part for you in full Monty.
I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I mentioned it to Grace, and she said, "Oh, we can't do that show here.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
We can do it.
Let's maybe
can do
talk
anything.
to her about that."
Yeah.
We're just gonna
I
make
mean,
we just made it a thing right now.
Oh, okay.
So we're in talks that I literally was sitting down with Ivan and Marcelo earlier this week talking about the full Monty. And then I was texting Kyle and I said, dude, we're here talking about it. And he's like, yes, we all got to do it. And it'll be great, and I think it'll be super fun. The other thing, there's a part of a 12-year-old kid in it. And, my son could play that by the time we do it, at least, maybe.
Maybe.
So I think that'd be fun.
I love live music for a show. In fact, honestly, I had never seen a musical with tracks. I'd never been involved in a musical with tracks.
Evita was your first time, right?
Evita was
so
the
that
first
was
time.
the other thing.
Wow.
And that whole situation, you were dealing with a brand new technology.
Exactly.
And it's not
Exactly.
easy, comprehensive technology either.
No, it's not.
No. So, but I when you are directing a pit or you're playing in a pit, you have a lot more opportunity to follow what the cast is doing.
Right.
Whereas a track, it's very unforgiving.
Yeah.
And it can be a safety thing for people because a track is always the same. But I really missed being the music director, not having live music.
Right.
So that was a big change for me.
And because we used to have players in the pit at Grace Arts Live at one point, and then we stopped doing that. So then it's like you can't depend on that safety net of the orchestra being like, oh, let's slow down or let's pick it up a little bit. Now it's like,
You
Or
follow the
having a
track.
conductor.
Having a conductor right there.
yeah. So we have Carmen in the back with a glow stick.
Her glow stick. Yes.
You
Glow
know?
stick for
It's
the
amazing.
win.
Yes.
That was something that was born out of one person who's been on your podcast, by the way, who had such a difficult entrance, and he said, "Could you wear white gloves or something?
get me-
Something that I can see so you can cue me in." So I thought about spray painting gloves with fluorescent paint, but it just happened to be the time of the year where you could find those glow sticks. And so we tried it, and it worked. It worked really well. So now my husband's made me one that's not disposable. It's a flashlight
made you
with
one?
with a tube. It's so cool.
I love that.
That's
So-
amazing.
So yeah.
love that.
So I don't always need to use it, but when I do, it's really cool.
Yeah, because if you don't have that, for me at least, I feel like I have to have like an internal metronome on those music breaks. Like Wimpy
Yeah.
Kid, there was a couple times where I'm like, okay, especially because I have a tendency to milk some of my stuff.
What?
No,
You?
Stop.
Ricky.
So then I'm like,
This is news.
Brand
to me.
new information.
This is the first time I'm hearing this.
I know. I'm shocked.
and then there'll be a silence. That'll be like, oh shoot, I didn't start counting. So I'll
Right.
just guess, but I'm perfect, so I get it.
Okay.
you are. But we have that happening in Little Shop. We have the person who's playing the dentist is playing 4 other roles.
Right.
And there's so much underscore music and it's repetitive. So there's not a musical cue. So I'm giving him the sign and he's really responding to the sign. But then our person, Jake, playing the plant, he said, but I need the sign, I need the cue, and I'm behind
But he's
the curtain.
behind. Yeah.
So I said, we need walkie-talkies. So we talked about having walkie-talkies, and
Why
then
don't
we
you get a
decided
baby monitor,
we'd be in trouble.
a video monitor.
Yeah, we'd be in trouble if we were talking to each other.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
But if there was like the baby monitor that with
Like a
camera-
video baby monitor.
Yeah, like
then you could
like-
actually
Oh.
conduct him in.
People can see
Right? Why not? It's like
Give me more technology, would you?
I will.
mean,
I will help
Easy.
you. I will do it
We
for
can
you.
set this up.
for you, and Jake can help.
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
will.
He's so musical.
Just tell him
He'll
to
be
count.
fine. Yeah.
Oh man,
So, in one of the things I loved about joining Grace Arts is your passion for harmonies and teaching harmonies and making sure that there are enough people on the parts that need to be heard. But I know that's not easy.
Jackie's a bit of a snob, so that's saying something.
It's actually my passion is harmony. It truly is. But I have this background of teaching advanced choral ensembles, and we did a lot of competition type performances, and it's just really important to me that if a composer has an idea for how a music should sound, that we are faithful to that and we follow those directions. I don't think I am not smart enough to rewrite some of this beautiful music. So, yeah, I really hammer the harmonies, and I'm insistent. And unfortunately, a lot of times people will listen to a cast recording, which is great, but they're singing the melody on everything. So when they come to the first music rehearsal, they're like, I know this, I've got this. But we're hearing 30 people sing melody.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge, is when it's a show that people know very well or they've known for a long time, and thinking that this is what it is, I think we can elevate our level of professionalism by really being true to the score.
Right.
So,
And you record all of the harmonies for everyone in the cast, which is really nice.
There's
I
no
do.
excuse.
I remember I asked Peyton one time when she was still in high school and she was doing shows with Grace Arts, and I said, "How do you learn your harmonies?"
Right.
And she said,
music
"I said
rehearsal.
I said, how do you learn music for your shows?" And she said, "Well, that's on us."
Yes.
And I always thought that was really a lot to ask, especially that age person. But I feel my job is to provide all the resources I can for you guys when you have these amazing parts and you've got this beautiful music. How unfair it would be to not teach those harmonies and make those resources. So I spend a tremendous amount of time recording harmonies.
You do.
Before the first rehearsal. And in fact, right now I'm waiting for one company to release performance tracks for Anastasia.
I was gonna say,
because we
can't wait
start
to listen.
rehearsing that next Saturday.
Yeah.
And I haven't recorded anything because I don't have the
They
performance
haven't
tracks.
released it yet.
So that's what I'll do this week. But
Not that you're doing anything else this week.
no, it's tech week for Little Shop.
It
But,
sure is.
I'm in my happy place. Well, I'm so scatterbrained at home, and Tom will say, "Oh, my God, you're in theater mode again." Theater brain.
Yeah.
So, but it's my happy place for sure. To have 2 or 3 shows going at the same time. I'm working with the little girl who's playing Annie. We're already doing vocal lessons for Annie. So, yeah.
What I'm hearing is that you might be the hardest working person in the theater community.
I mean,
I don't think that's probably
Low-key.
true.
I think
don't
we
that.
might have to put a poll under this episode and have people
Grace doesn't
rate.
count. Grace is in a category on her own, and,
Right.
and she doesn't count. She's
But
in
you know,
competition with no one.
There
She's
are all
perfect.
these people. Eileen works so
Yeah.
hard behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody does. I mean, Tom and Don, all the set builders, and there's just countless people that put these shows together. It's amazing.
Yeah, because even for the special shows like the Lou show that happened, and then any sort of New Year's Eve or special things, you always have Eileen or Mel in there
Right.
in the booth. You know?
And I will tell you, the last kid show, Diary of a Wimpy Kid,
Oh.
that was a full
Full show.
big show with, I think there were over 39 kids and some adults.
Right.
And
More adults.
It was a big show, and so lots
Yeah.
of
And lots of music and like weird
much
vamps
music.
and
yeah.
lots.
Yeah.
And I think what I appreciate about that show is there were harmonies in that show, and some of those kids don't know how to read sheet music.
Most of them don't.
And because most of them don't anymore. And I mean, even some adults don't know that. But I think when you teach harmonies, you really try to make sure that they are looking at the notes on the page.
And that's
Which is
another
huge.
struggle, because they will be trying to sing a song from a script. And I'm like, well, if
I
you're
feel like
looking
that's
at
a
the
little-
music.
I feel like it's a little pet peeve of yours.
It is. Yes, you
I
can-
do
yes.
feel you get like you feel
do.
disrespected. Like, hey,
no,
It's a music rehearsal, turn to the music.
Yeah, we turn to the music, and that's what we do.
Yes.
I
Yes,
say, when
she
you're
does.
here with me for music, we will be looking at the music, and you will at least see your notes going up or going down, and give you an indication. But I said to Grace a couple of years ago, I would love to have time to teach basic music reading to our people that are interested, because I have adults that come up to me and say, "Oh, I wish I knew how to read music. It would make it so much easier." So we've talked about that, and I think that it's just
That would be
when I
really
was a
cool.
Very
kid,
cool.
like I'm
Right.
sure you were
Right.
in
Yeah.
Minnesota, so
Yeah.
you know that tradition of, yes, you start music in kindergarten, and we had music reading all the way through.
Yeah, I mean,
public
I
school.
learned how to read all through, like, again, kindergarten. I was playing the flute in band in 4th grade and choir all the way up. And even at church, learning music. But now I feel like our kids, like in our theater club, like, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
they
we're
don't.
looking at the notes on the page. And they're like, what?
I will say, I am seeing some really exciting things happening with elementary music in our district. And I'm seeing teachers really stepping out to provide music education rather than just, this is prep time for a teacher.
Right.
And so I taught elementary music for 14 years, so I know that perception can be out there. Not that everybody
Right.
feels that way, but I think those basic music skills. I remember when Tom and I were thinking about moving here, and it was when Daytona School had just been closed and the music positions had been cut. And I said, I don't think I can move there, Tom. I just don't think so. And now I'm seeing this wonderful growth in music in Havasu, and I'm really appreciative of the school district for providing that support, and the teachers and parents being supportive. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox.
No,
No, it's a
great.
good soapbox
here
to be
for
on.
it.
I am here for it because then it's not just them in the school system, but then they're coming to rehearsals and they're doing shows and they are taking what they're learning in their class
It's
and
consistent.
carrying
Yes.
it over.
Now, if only we had
that's huge.
music all year instead of half the year and half of it art, but that's a whole other issue that
That's a whole other
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Well,
I could talk about for hours. It's fine.
one day.
One day.
I don't know when, but one day.
So what semester is music?
So they split. So like half the year you do music and half is art, and it flip flops. It depends. Like right now at our school we're in music, and then the second half of the year will be art, and there won't be any music club.
It should
Oh,
be-
that makes my heart so sad.
Oh,
But
I know.
not-
but
but
we
it's-
get PE all year, which is great. We
That's
should have
great.
PE all year,
And
but
then
why?
there's-
Great.
And then there's some schools like
Some do.
Starline that have art and music and PE all
They
year long.
do. So every
So
school should do that.
It's
but they also are shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ladies,
Well,
let's go back
Sorry,
to
we're
Carmen.
passionate
I'm sorry.
about-
passionate.
No, we could talk about this for a long
I know.
time.
that's-
Sure could.
if we need an episode, it could be about
Okay, yes.
Okay.
just the school, which we're planning that anyway, right?
yeah, that's already
Yeah.
in the works.
That's season 2.
We were talking, Jackie and I were talking about things that might be interesting to other people about music related. And we were talking about, what does a music director actually do? And that is a question I do get asked because I'm sure people, what is it you do? But I feel like it's really important that people understand that part of my job is to make sure that I'm not only true to the music score and the show, but that I support the director and that I have a good relationship with the director and the choreographer, because I'm there for every rehearsal, and I think it's really important to have that communication. But also, I'm responsible for making sure that we follow the terms of the rental agreement.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
I've gotten text messages from you going, Ricky, what you want to do, we can't do.
I know, and I hated to squash you
I
because
know.
you had a great idea, but that's just part of my responsibility. And Grace signs her name on those contracts, but I'm really the person that's responsible to say we can't alter a score, we
Right.
can't add, or we can delete things.
You police the system.
Yeah, I know it's.
Hey, someone's got to
Someone
do
has
it.
to
No,
Yeah.
somebody's got to do it. It's true. I mean, I'm not knocking it, and I don't blame you, and I'm glad you squashed me.
You're still mad. I know you're still mad.
Oh, no. That's
Wow.
No, I let you down in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I got to say, I'm sorry for the...
You didn't let me down. You didn't let me down. It
She
was-
already said you're perfect. So
Oh, that's
Well, that was a
You know
couple
what, we're gonna cut
episodes
this
ago. It's kind of a fluid thing.
he ebbs and flows in his perfectness.
sure.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, you didn't let me down. No one that gets on that stage that sings ever lets me down. I want you to know that. And I loved that you and Allie. Allie has chemistry with everybody, but you and Allie have a really special chemistry on stage. And that was, to me, that was more important than that 6.5 measures of harmony.
First of all, You know what? And I have no excuse. I don't.
There's no
excuse.
I don't. I should have practiced more, bottom line.
No, it was a wonderful scene. I love that scene. And you two were amazing. It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Carmen, if you had to pick 2 shows that you would love to see done at our theater, what would you pick?
That's a great question. I think probably all the shows that I would love to see have been done at Grace Arts. I'm trying to think of, there are some new shows that I don't know at all that I, of course, heard mentioned on this podcast that I would love to go see. But
what's your style of like music that you like? I mean, like not just music, but like shows. Do you like that, like Anastasia, that classical vibe, or In the Heights has a more modern vibe, something like that?
I'm so eclectic. I love them all. I mean, I was so fortunate. I've seen Chorus Line, Lion King, Wicked. I saw those on Broadway. Wow. I saw Kinky Boots in Phoenix, and I loved Kinky Boots.
That's a fun one.
I saw Book of Mormon in Phoenix at the Gamage, and I love that. I'm such a fan of musicals, all genres. At first, when it was announced that Grace Arts Live was doing Carousel, only because I'd had such a mean director. But that's the only show I thought, oh gosh, I don't know. But it was such a beautiful production that Grace Arts Live did that I loved it. So I don't think I have a particular style. One of the earliest musicals I remember seeing was West Side Story, and I was pretty young when the movie came out. But that remains one of my top
West Side
shows.
Story.
And Chorus Line, and I guess I love Man of La Mancha. I love some of those shows.
Did you ever get to see Jason do it?
That was the first time I saw Jason perform, and it was
Really?
fabulous.
Wow.
That's a. Yeah, that's so impressive when he's doing that whole scene. We keep talking about Jason.
Yeah, you should have him on.
Yes.
I would love to have him on, and I'm nervous to ask him.
Oh, I'll ask him.
Okay.
I'll ask him anything.
But all I'll say is just that scene where he's transforming into Don Quixote while he's given his little speech, and then he turns around and it's incredible. Gosh.
There are so many talented people in this town. You three among the top, but truly, we had just moved to town, and I went to see Into the Woods at Grace Arts Live.
Oh,
and so that might have been like 2014 or so.
It was 2014.
Yeah. And I remember I just was so blown away by the talent in this town and the quality of the productions.
Really? Jack was in that one.
Stop.
I'm just kidding.
Be nice to Jack.
No, Jack was my brother in that show. Yeah. That's a fun
you
show.
were a Prince.
I was Prince Charming.
Yeah. I loved that show so much. It was great.
That's one of my favorites because, again, I love ensemble casts. When there's not one main star where everybody, you get to pick who your favorite character is,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a really good one. So we've done things that you would want to see done here. Okay. What's been your favorites?
Here?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Oh, there's so many good ones. I loved In the Heights. I loved In the Heights because it's such a new show, and the cast, there were so many new people from the community, and it was a challenge. I mean, at one rehearsal, I said, I was trying to teach a rap section. I said, not bad for a 66-year-old white woman. And all the Hispanic kids in the cast thought that was hilarious. But that was exciting. That was and challenging, very, very challenging. So that's one of my favorites. I loved Into the Woods. I loved Evita because I survived. But no, every show I say to Diane, I say to the sound booth people, I don't want this to be over. I don't want this to end because every show is so special and the casts are so amazing.
And by the last weekend, it's like, they're finally getting it. They're finally starting to get it.
Right.
She's like, I think I heard the harmony.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, that's me up there. And then she probably did.
No, I told the kids that for Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if you guys nail this harmony on that part, I'm going to come running down that aisle and just hug you all, because that was difficult. It was difficult.
Yeah.
It was a hard show, and they did really well.
So, Carmen, our show is called The Missed Cue. Have you ever missed a musical cue? Because that can happen for us in the tech booth as well.
It happens a lot. The worst, the one, truly, I mean, most of the cast, if things happen. There'll be a distraction. Someone will come back and want to talk to me about something, or come back because they need their mic replaced, and you
lose focus for a
distracted.
second.
Or there's somebody in the back row that's whatever. But the one I feel the worst about, and I've apologized this in person and in writing, was Marcelo. In the Heights. And it was his entrance. It was his very first entrance.
He told this story.
He
right?
did. I
He
think so.
did.
I don't know if it was
Go
on the
ahead.
episode,
Yeah,
but
I don't
he
know.
did.
We heard
Tell
this.
us.
Yeah. So it was so exciting because you've got the prologue, and this music is just so exciting. And he comes out, and I pushed advance, and nothing happened. I pushed advance again, and he stood there, and he handled it like the pro that he is. But it was his first entrance on opening night, and it was, I felt so badly. But as I said,
It happens.
it happened, and we moved on, and the rest of the show was fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
it
good.
was.
So that's the one I feel the worst about. I know there have been many others.
But
I
that's
think
one of those things where, like, because it was Marcella was up there, you know, there's quite a few people in our theater, luckily, that would be able to handle themselves in that situation.
Oh,
And
for
he's-
sure. And he
So-
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. But I tell you, I think I've done 21 shows in a little over 3 years.
Wow.
And each show has 9 performances. That's a lot of opportunities. You know, I laugh when I get corrected or given a note, and I think, but what about the 45,000 things that went right?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You don't get to hear about those.
No. So yeah, I've missed cues, but I'm always so grateful to people who understand. It happens. And we're doing the best back there. My job is to support the cast and do whatever I can to support the show. And sometimes mistakes happen. And I'm the first to admit it, and I always feel horrible. But thank goodness, most people don't hold a grudge. I'm sure there's some that in the back of their mind are still mad at me. But
Just lose trust in you.
Wow.
Oh, who's running music? Carmen? Oh, okay.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Okay, but also as an actor on stage, I know from running music as well, if they miss a cue or they jump lines or they don't say our
cue
cue
line?
line, that messes the person playing the music tracks up as well, right?
It
Now,
does.
I know that's probably happened to you.
That happens a lot.
lot.
Although I will say that Grace is great about reminding the cast to
Say your cue line.
make sure you memorize your cue line. If you forget everything else, don't forget your cue line. Because in our music score, I don't use a script.
right.
I use the music score, and I often will just have 1 or 2 lines of dialogue at the most for my cue.
And if they don't say it.
If they don't say it. And some shows, I'm able to keep a script on my lap, but I'm watching a script on my lap and the computer and the music score. And Grace will say, "You need to look up at the stage."
If you don't have time.
It's a little bit to do.
tricky.
So
a
yeah.
lot.
So sometimes if dialogue gets skipped, which happens, it just happens. We make our best choice.
Right.
Fingers crossed. It's a good choice, but
That's all you can do is make your
That's all
best
we can
choice.
do. Make your best choice.
that's right.
Okay, so I think the last question we have to ask is if you could only listen to one cast album of a show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
And this is interesting because you're the music person.
Right?
Yeah.
That's such. I love anything Sondheim. Anything Sondheim.
She's a complex woman.
I love
It's about the
Sondheim.
words.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
love of all Sondheim. But I have to say, since I was a kid, I could don't even remember. It was 1972 maybe. My first album I ever got was Jesus Christ Superstar. And I, to this day, I can listen to that album, and I was so thrilled we got to do that show last year.
Yes.
It was one of the highlights,
So
I
much
think.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, actually when I was King Herod and that, it's so great working with you because I'm able to, like, once I get comfortable with whatever song I'm doing, I can always like go and talk to you and come up and say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about doing this. I'd like the music to like hold off a second if it could. And then I'm able to say like, we'll figure out a signal or something or some grand gesture that I'll do to
Right.
kind of cue you to win. So you're very adaptable, and whenever
Oh, I
I
like
have any
that
of my
too.
stupid ideas.
No, your ideas are not stupid, but I appreciate an actor who thinks about that. How can we make creatively, how can we make this scene better musically or with whatever business you're doing on stage? That was really cool. That was
Yeah.
a neat moment.
Yeah, I just think it makes it so much more powerful when you can enter on that lyric and the music right at the same time, like you know. But then that's why I do a lot of like the like pointing at other characters and stuff. I'll do something like that. That's my signal to Carmen to be like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that though. I
Yeah,
really
no,
appreciate that.
it's fun. I love collaborating like that, and that was a great cast. And
Oh,
well,
it was
I okay,
Come on, you were barely in that show.
That
Let's
doesn't
be
count.
honest.
the best role of my life. Literally just King Herod. It was great.
Yeah.
Came out for 4 minutes, stole the show.
Yelled at Kyle.
Literally.
And
Yelled at Kyle.
Sat in the trailer the whole show until the end.
Well, now I'm just getting warmed up. Let's keep
right?
talking. Now I'm not nervous anymore. It took an hour, but
Hey, that's what happens.
That's
Yeah.
We'll have you back on for season 2 for sure. at some point.
oh, how fun.
I think for all of our listeners and us as a podcast, like, thank you for the time and effort that you put
spend
in.
so
Because
much.
there's so much that is seen, but there is way more that is not seen. And we appreciate you. And our shows would not be the quality they are without the work you put in.
Yeah, because
so
you
true.
make those notes during rehearsal, but then you have to take all those notes and you have to put the work into that computer and make the adjustments. And sometimes you got to send them in
Oh yeah, and edits
and then wait to get edited. And you don't even use the same program every time.
No, that's
it
the
changes.
challenge. That's the challenge. So we do, whoever we have a rental contract with, there are 3 basic companies and they're all
all
very,
so
very
different.
different. Yeah. So,
crazy.
so
Yeah.
Why you got to be like that?
Why can't they just make it easy?
Why can't it all be the same?
But I'm sure you're a master at all 3 programs now.
well, after 3 years, I've
She's-
gotten a lot better, a lot better. Jake will help me if I need to do an on-the-fly edit because he's very musical and he's just fun to work with anyway. So
Yeah.
any excuse to work with
Right.
Jake.
Right.
I just call him up and tell him I need an edit. We talk about dogs.
Yes, he was talking about that today to me actually.
Well, Carmen, it's been more than an honor. I can't
Yeah,
even.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
been amazing having you on. I'm so glad this finally happened. We'd love to have you on for another episode down the road.
Well, thanks, you guys. It means a lot to me to be part of this community and to be friends with the people I care about so much and I respect as performers and parents and teachers. And you're just the best. You're really the best.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and
Yes.
we'll see you at the theater, Carmen. And until next time, remember, there is no excuse
For a missed or late cue.